All right, YouTube, welcome to this video. You've decided to build yourself a shed. Maybe you're making some kind of a little garden shack for your tools and maybe a lawn tractor. And now you're trying to figure out these birdmouth cuts. You've seen a couple videos online, I'm sure, of how to calculate it with the roof rise and the run of it. You could use your common angles on your speed square. There is a technical way to do these, so you don't do it my way. But like I said, you're trying to figure it out in a different way because maybe the other videos don't make sense. And what I'm going to show you is a non-technical way that will compensate for a building that's not square, actually, which is what I have going on. I just set these posts in dirt. I just kind of eyeballed it. I laid a 2x4 across the floor and said, hey, that's square enough. This is going to be for my lawn tractor and some shovels, so it's not really important that it's square that well. It's not going to get any power or stuff like that. But I'm going to teach you a couple tricks on how to make these a lot easier. Instead of doing all the technical stuff with the measurements and calculations, there's a quick way to do it, and you just need a speed square. You need a speed square, and you'll also need to know what the width of your base is here. This is a 4x4 pressure treated lumber, so it's a 3.5 inch across. We're going to make a 3.5 inch cut for this base, and then I'll explain what these lines are up here. What's nice about this kind of cut is that you can nail right to it. It's got the weight. The weight's kind of supported at that base, and both ends are notched that way, so it doesn't really, it's less likely to slide off. Of course, if you want to go extra, you could add the hurricane ties, you could add the blocking in between, but I'm just going to do some of that corrugated plastic roofing above this with some 1x4s running across. In my case, this will be more than enough. So let me get down and grab a stud for you, and I'll show you what I do first. One of the first things you're going to want to do is figure out how much of the stud of the roof rafter you actually want sticking out. And if you want to be extra fancy, you can cut those at an angle so that they're straight, but you know, for our purposes here, it's just a garden shack. So mine are at 13 inches. I just decided that should be enough to overhang. On the front side, the opening is going to be 10 inches. But once you know the measurement for the back, you're going to just use that as your initial starting point. So you're going to take your stud and you're going to measure off what you want for the rear, right? So let's say, in my case, I said 13, so I measured a 13, and I know that where the base of my 4x4 is going to meet is right here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to throw this stud up there, and then I'm going to flip it so that this line is butted up against is run up against the 4x4. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, so I got the stud up here now. I'm measuring my rafters off at 16 just to give myself that extra little bit of support, because I'm gonna be crawling on top of this to put the roof on. So I've marked off the center, right? So it's 16 on centers. You can see the marks there. You're gonna want to go ahead and mark all of your studs out once you've got that first one that's square. Square the first one, and then you can measure off both sides from there. So we're gonna bring this stud over to that center point right about there, but also remember that 13 down below. So I'm gonna look for this notch, not the notch, the little stripe. Yeah, there it is. So we're going to bring that up to that 4x4. You can see that halfway point. This is that center point. Hope it shows up. I can't really see my screen because I'm in direct sunlight, but we're on center here, that mark there, and we're on the line here for the base of the 4x4. Now we're going to go and square up the other side to that center spot. All right, so now we're back on the opposite end, and on this side we don't care. Well, I don't care how much is here because I know the other side is 13, and I know that my building is not square. So what I'm going to do is bring it up to that center. So now I'm 16 on center, and now here's where the magic happens. You know that you want this post, this rafter, to be straight down. So with your speed square, you're going to bring the flat up against the back of the 4x4, and now we have a flat line. And you take your pencil, see if this phone will stay, and mark that. Okay, so do that same thing to the other side. So we're gonna this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna put the pause on. Okay, so now we have one line for that side, one line for this side. There it is. We're gonna go and do that down there now. Okay, now I'm at the other side. You get the idea. Line up the speed square to the base. Now you have a straight edge to draw on. Let me go ahead and make that line. Bam, it's magic, there it is. Now we're gonna do the opposite end on this end, this side right here. And then not fall off the ladder, break a neck, or any type of arm. Okay, so right there we're gonna make that second line. Okay, so you see the two lines there. Interesting fact, that vertical line matches where that bottom line is, which it should, because that's your starting point of the roof. So I'll take this back to the workbench, which is the tailgate of my truck. Let's grab this. Let you guys check out the view out there. All right. Now we have 4 vertical lines on our board, and we have to know what the base is, because if we did let's say we did like a 6-inch cut or a 2x6, you know, the line might end up like this with a 6-inch. We know that we're doing a 3.5 for our 4x4, so we're going to hold on. Okay, so as I was saying, we know that we're 3.5, so we're going to line up to this diamond. See the point right there is our pivot point. So we're going to bring that up to the corner. And now we know that our base has to end up flat, right? So we're going to bring this pivot up to that 3.5. And you see how that line, you see you don't want the line there, and you don't want the line here. You want it to line up with your vertical. So we're going to put right about there. And now we scribe that line. Okay, so now that's 3.5 across. These are our 2 verticals where the bottom of our roof is. And now we go do that to the other side. Same idea. Grab your speed square, bring the pivot over to the top here. And then we're going to line it up to the corner. And then we'll bring it in until this diamond is parallel right there. And then we're going to scribe that. Okay, bam, magic, scribed. Now we take our jigsaw and we're going to cut along that line, and we're going to cut along this line and make those 2 notches. Notch number 1. Now let's do the second one. Can you get it?
It's on.
Ta-da! Number 2. Now we know that this is the bottom on my behind me. We're gonna bring it up to the top again. Is this more work? Yeah, there's a lot more up and down. But if the other ways haven't worked for you, can't get easier than this. You're not doing any real measurements. And all you got to do is scribe a couple lines. And then, of course, you need to square the other side. But it lands right on that center point there. Kind of hard to see in the sun. So we'll bring that here. Then I'll go up and square the other side. And then we set our nails. And it's pretty solid. Once you get this whole thing covered and put in a couple of 45s in each corner, I think I'm going to have an extremely solid shed. All right. Well, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I check them pretty regularly. Good luck with your shed.